So Cardano ADA has dropped more than 30% since last Wednesday, and this is somewhat surprising given the fact that leading up to the weekend I was fairly bullish with President Donald Trump holding the crypto summit. But I think it's fair to say that the summit was a little bit disappointing given the fact that the World Cup was mentioned more times than altcoins. And so yeah, that kind of raised a few eyebrows a little bit, and it has led to some fear, uncertainty, and doubt, as reflected by this price chart. Now, I'm still tracking this 5-wave move to the upside, and it looks like we are currently still in a wave 2. And so we have here our wave 2 targets in between 63 cents and 82 cents. And these targets are essentially a 50% to 88.2% retracement of our wave 1. So as you can see here, and given the fact that the current price of ADA still sits within our price targets, that makes our wave structure still valid. Now, this wave 2 is looking like a potential WXY internal structure is forming. And should that be the case, essentially what you have is you have your W wave, X wave, and then your Y wave. Now, that Y wave would be a 1 to 1.236 retracement of our wave W. So if I bring this to here, put this in the right place. So that Y wave would reach anywhere between 59 cents and 66 cents. So within this zone here. Now, this zone is of particular importance because previously we did find support at these levels. So for example, here, if I select that, we ended up finding support within this price range. And so it is looking like a possibility that ADA will reach this zone once again. And it will be crucial for us to continue to find support at those levels for us to, continue to be bullish and see moves to the upside. Now, what's also interesting about this is, all the indicators are showing that the bears have the momentum as things stand at the moment. So, for example, what you have here is the 50 EMA crossing the 200 EMA, and that's also known as a death cross. And during the time of recording on Friday, so it was around here, we were looking at ADA to retest the 50 EMA, and we ended up doing so, but then we ended up finding rejection at both the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA. And as a result, the current price of ADA is below both the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA, which is bearish. Now, we also had a change of character, which essentially means that our local low at the time, which was around 75 cents, that's now been broken. So once again, that signals that the bears have the momentum. And, smart money concept is also indicating that we have a weak low at 70 cents. And so the likelihood of that being broken is likely. Now, what's also interesting about this is on our stochastic RSI, we are overbought. And so there is more room to the downside. And we did have momentum from Sunday, late Sunday, up until today. And, looking at this momentum, you can see that the bulls didn't really have the momentum given the fact that we didn't retest that 50 EMA level. So that's another indicator that's suggesting that we are bearish as things stand at the moment. And so I do anticipate this local low at 70 cents being broken. And it's a question of whether or not we end up reaching this region here, which we previously found support at. We're talking back end of February up until the beginning of March. Now, as things stand at the moment, you have this region here that I'm still currently keeping an eye on. Now, it will be important for us to continue to, once again, find support at this range here before we, first of all, retest our EMA levels. And should we find support at these EMA levels, then the next key area to be keeping an eye on is this price range here between 92 cents and 98 cents. Now, Smart Money Concepts is indicating that we do have a strong high at $1, and I don't really anticipate us reaching that $1 mark anytime soon, once again, given the fact that the bears had the momentum. However, I think leading up to the end of the week, it will be interesting to see if ADA is retesting this upper range here between 92 cents and 98 cents. Now, the 4-hour chart tells an interesting story because we are currently below both the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA. Now, one thing that I will be keeping an eye on is this 50 EMA crossing the 200 EMA, which again is also known as a death cross. Now, we do have our stochastic RSI, which is indicating that we are oversold. And so how high the price of ADA will go will be interesting to see. Now, I don't anticipate us retesting these EMA levels anytime soon. And so it will be interesting to see if we retest this level here at 75 cents, which could possibly be the case. And then we could potentially find rejection at this level and then continue to see moves to the downside. Now, the daily chart is an interesting story because we are below 50 on our stochastic RSI, so we are within the oversold regions. Now, what's interesting about this is the accumulation and distribution is showing that we have an increase in accumulation. So despite the negative price action that we've seen for the last month or so, we have seen an accumulation from investors and whales. So, long-term I'm still bullish. So yeah, you have retailers that are selling, whereas on the flip side to that, you have whales and investors that are purchasing ADA. Now, we are in an interesting position right now, given the fact that we are retesting that 200 EMA. And so it will be interesting to see if we continue to retest that level, but I do anticipate us finding rejection and then continuing to see moves to the downside where we could potentially reach this lower region here. Now, the weekly chart tells an interesting story because on our stochastic RSI, we are oversold. Now, previously, whenever we were within the oversold region, we did see a price surge to the upside. And so, for example, here we saw, a consolidation before we saw a continuation to the upside where we ended up testing that $1.30 mark. And same goes for over here, where previously we were oversold and then we saw a price surge. And so, given the fact that, we are within an oversold territory, it will be interesting to see if we see similar moves that took place whenever we were in oversold conditions. So that's just my quick thoughts on Cardano ADA as things stand at the moment. The bears do have the momentum. However, long-term I'm still bullish, given the fact that you still have whales and investors purchasing ADA at these low prices. And, this is a really good opportunity to be buying in at these low prices before we continue to see moves to the upside. Anyway, hopefully you found this video useful. And if you did, then feel free to drop a like. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.